You guys, welcome to Sick of Pricks, a type 2 diabetes podcast. I'm Mary, your diabetes bestie. And today we're talking about something that hits a little too close to home for a lot of us. What happens when your partner, spouse, or family just doesn't get your diabetes? And no, I don't just mean they can't recite the carb count in a slice of bread. I'm talking about the emotional, everyday ways their lack of understanding shows up. The comments about food, the eye rolls when you check your blood sugar, the you're fine when you're not fine. It's this weird mix of love, fear, and frustration that sometimes feels like they're living in a completely separate reality from the one you are. It's one thing to manage your blood sugar. It's another to manage your blood sugar and your partner's opinions about it. So today we're going there. Why it happens, how it affects you, and what you can actually do about it without losing your sanity or divorcing your spouse. So why does this happen? Let's be real. Most of the time, it's not because your partner doesn't care. It's because they don't know. And sometimes it's because they don't want to know. Here's why. They don't live in your body. They don't feel the high that makes your head foggy or the low that makes you shaky and sweaty. They're not carrying the mental load of every single choice being tied to a blood sugar number. They think they're helping. Oh, the help. Like when they point at your plate and say, that has a lot of carbs. Or they say, should you be eating that? I know, you just love being the dinner table diabetes police's only subject. They also don't know what they don't know. They may have no idea that stress, hormones, illness, or sleep can mess with your blood sugar as much as food can. And if you don't tell them, they're not magically going to learn from osmosis. And last, I think it's that they're scared. This is a big one. Sometimes the controlling comments, the nagging, the hovering, it's not about control, it's about fear. They've heard horror stories about complications, maybe they've seen family members struggle, and it's easier to micromanage you than to sit with their own feelings and anxieties about your diagnosis. Here's the problem. Even if their intentions are good, the way it lands for you can be damaging. Emotionally, you might feel unsupported, misunderstood, or even judged in your own home. Physically, stress spikes cortisol, which can raise blood sugar. So yes, their behavior can literally make things worse. And mentally, you might start hiding your habits, avoiding certain foods in front of them, or downplaying symptoms just to avoid conflict. And that's dangerous. You can't care for your health fully if you're constantly managing someone else's emotions about it. And it's also just lonely. You're in a relationship that's supposed to be your safe place. But when it comes to diabetes, you feel like you're doing it alone. Now, not every misunderstanding is a deal breaker. Some things can be fixed with better communication. Others, you might need to throw a flag on the play and tell him or them or her, cut it out. Here are some red flags to look out for. Food or medication sabotage. You don't need that shot. Come on, one piece of cake won't hurt. Dismissing symptoms. You're fine, you're overreacting. Or refusing to learn or listen when you try to explain. Those are red flags that have to be called out. But here are some growth opportunities. They ask questions even if they're awkward about it. They're willing to adjust habits, like taking walks with you after dinner. And they admit when they don't know something and show curiosity in trying to learn something new. If you can see willingness, there's room to work with that. If you only see resistance, you may have to adjust your expectations and your boundaries. All right, let's talk solutions, because just get them to understand isn't a strategy. But here's what you can do. You can educate without lecturing. If you drop a 45-minute dissertation on carb counting over dinner, I guarantee you they're going to tune you out. Instead, share one factor experience at a time. For example, I'm going to walk after dinner tonight because it helps my blood sugar stay steady. Set clear boundaries. Be specific. Please don't comment on my plate works better than don't be critical. The clearer you are, the less they can claim they didn't understand. Invite, don't demand. Ask them to come to a doctor's appointment or diabetes education session with you, not because you want to punish them or bore them to death, but as a way for you to learn together. Give them a role. Some partners want to help but don't know how. Let them carry snacks when you go out. Ask them to walk with you, or have them be the one to refill your water or bring you your juice box when your blood sugar is low. Lastly, use I statements. I feel unsupported when you blank is less defensive than you never XYZ. This keeps the focus on your needs and your feelings instead of turning it into a blame game. Let's get into the hard part. What do you do when you've tried it all? You've explained, invited, set boundaries, and they still don't get it. This is where you need a plan B, because your health cannot depend on someone else's willingness to evolve. Here are a few extra strategies that can help. Choose your battles. You don't have to fight every single misunderstanding. If correcting them drains more energy than it saves, sometimes it's best to let it go. Focus on the issues that really matter to your health and your sanity, not every single offhand comment that's made. Create diabetes-free zones. Sometimes you need a break from the constant focus. You can say, after 8 p.m., I don't want to talk about food or blood sugar. Let's just watch a show. This sets boundaries that protect your mental space, even if they're not 100% supportive. I love this one. Outsource your support. If they won't step up, find people who will. That might mean a friend who texts you after appointments, a diabetes support group online, or even a therapist. Your partner doesn't have to be your everything, and sometimes it's healthier if they're not. Script your responses. Have a few go-to lines ready so you're not caught off guard. When they comment on your plate, you can say, thanks, but I've got it covered. When they dismiss a symptom, you can say, I need you to trust me on how my body feels. When they push food, no thanks, and please stop offering after I've already said no. Having these in your back pocket keeps you from spiraling or freezing up. I'm one of those people that thinks of the perfect thing to say 4 hours after I was in the situation that I needed to say it. So having these type of things in my back pocket really helps me. Protect your energy. At the end of the day, it's not about changing them. It's about preserving you. That might mean spending less time around food situations with them, handling appointments by yourself, or shifting conversations away from diabetes altogether. It's not about shutting them out. It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. And lastly, you have to decide where you draw the line. This one's tough, but real talk. If their refusal to understand is putting your health at risk, like actively sabotaging your meds or dismissing serious symptoms, that's not a small problem. That's a relationship problem. And it might mean therapy, counseling, or in extreme cases, rethinking what partnership actually looks like. Because here's the thing, you deserve to be safe in your own care. A coaching client once told me a story about when they were first diagnosed. They were out to dinner and ordered a burger with no bun. Have you guys ever done that or done like a lettuce wrap bun? Their husband said something like, "Oh, is that what you have to do now?" She went on to share that he didn't mean it in a mean way, but it felt like it at the time. Like suddenly all of her choices were up for discussion. So we talked about how to set clear expectations and boundaries. Because if we don't say to hubby or coworker or friend or mother-in-law, hey, please don't make my plate the topic of conversation, they are going to keep doing it because they think they're showing interest. We have to start being direct about what we need and what we don't need. The biggest shift for me came when I stopped expecting my partner to be my number one diabetes support person. That was freeing for both of us, I think. Instead, I started asking, what's the one thing I actually need from them? It definitely was not comments about my plate. For us, it's, please, if I'm having a low blood sugar, go get the juice box so I don't have to get out of bed. When I narrowed it down, it gave both of us clarity. He wasn't failing at some impossible role that he had to fill, and I wasn't constantly frustrated with him. And then I went and built the rest of my support system. Friends, community, people who actually got it. That combination is what works. And if you're looking to expand your diabetes support circle, you can find the links to Sugar Mama Strong and Dudes with Diabetes in the episode notes. We'd love to have you join us. So here's your takeaway. You are allowed to expect respect for your health boundaries. You are allowed to ask for what you need, and you are allowed to protect your peace if someone refuses to get on board. That's it for today's episode. If you got something out of this one, hit like, subscribe, and take a second to leave a review. It helps other people with type 2 find this podcast and know they're not out here doing it alone. As always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.